All right, good morning. 43 minutes after 9. Happy Thursday, everyone. Hope you guys have had a good morning so far. It hasn't been a very pleasant one for us, so I think that's a big plus, right? I'm wave meteorologist Brian Good. Welcome to Storm Talk, and we do have some active weather to talk about, so today's going to be a little busier of a setup. I won't have as much time for chit-chat, but I'll chat with y'all for just a little bit there. Hello, Tim. Good morning. He's watching on YouTube. Morning, Brian from Cicadas Central. I tell you what, I don't have that many where I live. I can hear them. They're starting to increase more and more in my neighborhood. I've been noticing that. But my mom lives in Mount Washington, and it's a very eerie sound. A sound I don't think I've really heard before, actually. But we were actually in the garage the other day. I told the story on the air, so if you've heard this before, I apologize. But we heard the sound in the garage, but we couldn't figure out where it was at. We're like, okay, there's one in here with us. I mean, it's very loud, but where's it at? So we looked to the right, and I turned, and we looked, and the sound changed. We're like, wait a minute, no, it's on this side of the garage. And then we turned, no, it's on this side of the garage. It was one of those skits, it seemed like with Abbott and Costello, where you're just back and forth trying to figure out where it is because it kept changing. And then I realized while I was standing there that the reason why the sound was changing is because the cicada was up my shirt and on my back. So it was following with me with the sound. So anyway, I won't tell you my reaction after that. I probably overreacted because it's not going to hurt me. But it's still just the idea that it got up my shirt without me knowing about it was a little creepy because I'm pretty sensitive, right? I mean, my skin especially is very sensitive. And I thought for sure I would know that would be crawling up there. But that was the case. And you know what? 5 minutes later, I found one that was up my shorts. So I don't know. Cicadas they really like me. Really, really like me. But anyway, so hopefully you don't have any crawling on you today. That's what I'm trying to say. And if you think that the sound's a little weird, hey, just, shake your clothes a little bit just to make sure. All right. Anyway, I'm off track again, as always. Good morning, everyone. See you all on YouTube, Facebook, X as well. So I appreciate you all. All right. We do have some active weather coming our way. So let me kind of break down. And it's in two pieces that I'm going to be referring to. It's the one late tonight and certainly during the day on Friday. And even Friday, I can divide up into two pieces in itself, but let me give that as one block. And then about a week from today, the potential for an alert day is starting to show up down the road. And there have been some changes too to the heat outlook for next week. So a lot to kind of break down for you in the next few months. So bear with me. Let me kind of hash this all out, and then we'll get into some of the finer details. First off, let me show you some of the good news, and that is the beautiful sky we've got right now as you look from the harbors in Jeffersonville. Very nice, right? Some high-level clouds overhead today. We had some fog this morning that's been lifting, so some still kind of a hazy look to the sky outside. Been watching the feed out of the Chops of Bluegrass there into Simpsonville. Same storyline, but overall it's a high deck of clouds today, and this will stick with us. They may thin at times, but especially this afternoon after 2 or 3 o'clock, we have a better chance to get a little bit more of that blue involved, but it won't be a bad day at all. Rain chances are there today, yes, but it's very, very low, and mainly for Kentucky versus Indiana, but spotty at best. I think most areas will be in mighty fine shape as we head into this afternoon. A little warmer, too, actually a lot warmer compared to the past couple of days. 73 already into Marion County. You guys are always showing off down there in Marion County. 68 in Louisville, 60 where the fog has been a little more of an issue for Indiana. So you're just now trying to shake that here this morning. If you look carefully at the visible satellite, in fact, let me zoom in. You can see in Indiana right there where that fog is and around Bedford showing up on the satellite. It's starting to decrease the last couple of scans, even across East Fork of the White River as you travel further to the east, all the way into Jackson County, eventually into Jennings. So, yeah, the fog is lifting in your area, but you may be a little bit slow in the temperature climb initially. The radar looks really busy. There's not much to talk about except areas to the east. This was a shower this morning that popped up. Models actually picked this up fairly well yesterday that this would happen this morning, but it was outside of our area, so we didn't talk about it a whole lot. But it's heading off to the east. Otherwise, you see the stream of clouds flowing up the Ohio River itself. Let me broaden the view out, and let me switch radars actually to a different view. Stand by as we look a little bit more into the lower 48, where we've got another wave coming our way. This is the wave that's the clipper-ish kind of system. It's not technically a clipper because it didn't dive down out of Canada. It's coming in from the Rockies. What would we call that? A rockier? No, that makes sense. Anyway, so it's moving in off the front range, quickly going to actually enhance tonight because of our lovely friend, the low-level jet. It ramps up typically in the evening, but especially into the sunrise period just before is usually the max for the low-level jets. And based on the timing of when this arrives and the low-level jet ramping up, it's going to put its enhancement very close to central Kentucky and off to the east as we head into late tonight, early tomorrow morning, kind of the crossover point of the two periods before we have to deal with, as I mentioned, part two really of the Friday wave, and that is the backlash that will kick in as we head into Friday afternoon. That'll be diving in from a different direction altogether. So tonight it moves in from the west, tomorrow moving in due north and heading south. So we're going to be whiplash all day here, trying to keep up with the motion on the radar, and we'll kind of keep you advised throughout our newscast of which way to look on the Wave Weather app if you're tracking the rain chance coming our way. Now, the good news about this arriving at the time it does, though, tonight is that we don't have a lot of time to build up a ton of fuel here. The area is still quite dry, and the layers of the atmosphere that it count. We do change that tonight with a low-level jet. It does try to add quite a bit of moisture to our profile, and I'm going to show you that in a second. With that happening, that does at least start to put us in the zone where, okay, we are not exactly in a severe thunderstorm prime area, but we also can't rule out a warning that could get issued out of both periods, the morning wave and the afternoon potential. I think do carry a warning potential, but there is a big asterisk here. There's a limit to this. There is no official outlook actually from the Storm Prediction Center for even a marginal for our area. And it's mainly because of the isolated nature of this. I think that may change if that signal gets a little stronger, especially for Friday afternoon. They may put out a marginal across much of wave country actually tomorrow afternoon. That is one thing that wouldn't shock me one bit to see that change happen today based on some of the model trends. But I'll explain why coming up. Let's take this one step at a time. First off, let's show you our graph model, in-house model. This will give you the whole storyline and an hour-by-hour setup, and then we'll get into the nerdy stuff. You guys love the nerdy stuff. So today, any of the fuel is mainly across Kentucky, as I mentioned. Any downpour will be limited to that area. Otherwise, better chance to get blue sky and a nice day. We've got upper 70s showing up in the modeling. We're thinking right now we can at least hit 80 here in Louisville, may even overachieve a degree or two, depending on how much of that blue we get. But a nice day. Okay, here comes the wave moving in. You got evening plans. You're good, by the way. This is not going to interrupt your plans for this evening. So if you had a plan to walk around the neighborhood, hang out with friends, any games you're playing tonight, basketball, softball, then I think you'll be fine. But you get into the overnight hours, just as we're all sound asleep, most of us anyway, into the overnight. That's when this rolls in, and it does enhance. You see the fuel lit up in red, very low in fuel because of timing being nocturnal, but it does stretch just over the border into central Kentucky and southern Kentucky. That is where there's a bit of an overlap, and that's the area I'm watching. If there's any warning potential with this first piece, it would happen here. So just the edges of wave country that I think we need to monitor for early tomorrow morning. This will be on Tawana's watching right now. So this will be on Tawana's plate early in the morning. She's thrilled about that. But it's just a brief overlap that happens in our far southern sections. We do not see that overlap the further north you travel, so including Louisville. That's good. But some loud thunder, rolling thunder especially. I don't think it's going to be the crackling type of lightning and thunder like we had, a week and a half ago, I believe it was, that shook us all out of bed pretty much. It's not that fierceness of a thunderbolt. This is going to be cloud to cloud lightning instead of cloud to ground. So you do not have that really wild strike to the ground level that creates that crackling and just scares you out of bed. This is more of that rolling thunder that will likely develop, especially around I-64 and points south. Okay, so this first wave, it moves on by. But remember, this is a low pressure, all right? The center of it, roughly I-64, because it's counterclockwise. The flow is going to be out of Tennessee into central Kentucky for the lead portion of this. But as it moves on, it's a little happy journey over the area for late morning, about this time actually tomorrow. We then have to pay attention to the other side of the low that's coming in from the north. And notice there is fuel that is generated on the backside underneath the colder side of this. It's actually quite cold above where these thunderstorms will pop tomorrow afternoon. They will rotate into the area. Two areas I'm watching for thunderstorms that will potentially develop and impact your community will be right along the Ohio River, and I would say Muhlenberg County, Grayson County, over to about Bullitt will be one piece. And then this is the second one. It will start around Indianapolis. There's a lot of good data on this second part that will start in Indianapolis, and it'll impact mainly between Louisville and Frankfort and Louisville, Lexington type of zone as we head into tomorrow afternoon. So mainly southwest early on, and then an eastern side of the Buren area as we head into later in the day. And the reason why it shifts is because of the low. It's moving. It's on its journey through the mountains, the Appalachians. So because it's doing that, it carries with it that storm threat as it evolves to the east. And then after we get past that, and I'll circle back to this in a moment, but as it moves on by, it will take a bit of time to get that flow of showers to stop. We'll get rid of the lightning and thunder potential out of that once we get to sunset, but the showers may keep dropping out of Indiana all the way through about midnight. That may be hard to shake. And that leaves us with the next piece, which is the combination of a backdoor front and the backlash tail of this low that'll be arced just like this for Saturday. And we pointed this out yesterday, how this is going to be our thorn in our side for the weekend. How fast does this bad boy move backwards to the south and west? The longer it lingers, the more we carry a rain chance for the entire weekend. Not a washout of a weekend, just the heating of the day. Only the mid-afternoon windows will be at risk for this to fire up. It'll become alive based on the heating. But if we can get that past here and to the other side of us, say toward West Kentucky and in towards St. Louis, then we're fine. And obviously the better chance to see that happen will be Sunday versus Saturday, which a lot of data actually agrees with at the moment. So I like the trend, but got to watch these because we're getting to that time of the year. There's not as much of a push of a backdoor cold front that we normally have in early in the spring or in the fall season. So they can sometimes slow down and even get stuck. So we'll watch that. Right now, the Saturday wave, you see how we get into early in the day, nothing to worry about. But the heating takes place, and then it lights up into the afternoon. It doesn't look overly impressive here, but there could be some showers, maybe some thunder that could develop right along that boundary. And then this particular model stops here, but you can already see what it's doing. It tries to tilt it a little more just southwest of Louisville early on Sunday. If anything, our rain chance Sunday probably would be limited to areas just south and west of Louisville only. And if you're north and east of Louisville, you may be in the clear. You'll be too dry. and you'll be in fine shape. Okay, so that's the overall setup for tonight all the way through Sunday. We'll worry about the weekend part later. Let's regurgitate again this data for how tomorrow will play out. I'm going to start with the sounding. And if you're new to seeing these, I'm going to take this full screen because it's hard to see, trust me. This is looking at the atmosphere tilted, basically. We're down here. This is where we're at, staying on Earth. Up here is basically where the planes fly, right? So you're looking at the atmosphere sideways, right? Green line is moisture. Red line is temperature. If they are close together, you are saturated. If they're far apart, you're dry. So if the two lines, if the green line and the blue line, or the red line and the green line were not even touch each other at all up and down the entire atmosphere, we would not be talking about rain and thunderstorms. But you can easily tell that they do indeed connect together. And that is where we need to watch for rain and some thunderstorms. So let me go back full screen. Now I'm showing this. This is roughly about, say, 6 to 7 a.m. tomorrow. But this is not for Louisville. This is for just the southern fringe counties that I was talking about. There is an overlap of that fuel. And this is going to be roughly Greene, Taylor, and Adair. I think we can limit it to really U3 for the moment. But you can tell some of these numbers are showing up. We've got what we call SRH, which is the storm relative helicity. What does that mean? Well, you get values over 150, you got to start paying attention for rotation. And right now, your wind is showing up here more of a south wind to a southwest. What you were looking for here for anything that could rotate, and yes, I'm referring to an isolated tornado type setup, is you don't want a southeast component here. And right now, for at least your area, I'm not seeing that. It's more of a southwest. That's good. There was a previous run of this exact model that did have a southeast wind. So that's the reason why we're not really playing this up a ton, and there's no alert day for it right now, just because of the iffiness on that. I just want to point out that this is something we'll be watching. There's plenty of shear. Your shear's coming in. It's hard to read the number, but it's at about 45 knots. So there is plenty here to at least be raising our eyebrows. There could be an isolated warning at a time you don't want it, 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. But it only, again, will be south of the parkways, and I'm really aiming toward Greene, Taylor, and Adair. Okay, now that's the profile for that area. Now let me show you what Louisville's looks like at nearly the same time. One thing you notice, there was a Cape line listed here. That's gone, okay? We're not even registering any shear at all. Our SRH is not in bad shape, only a small value at right on 100. The wind field is very weak. There's not much to worry about there. It's very, very weak. So, in fact, it's going to be tough to even, looking at this map and this chart, it's going to be tough to get a lot of lightning, even in Louisville here. But this is certainly a saturated sounding. So it indicates there will be some moderate to briefly heavy rainfall that we'll see tomorrow morning. Now, once we get into the afternoon, this is going to apply for everyone. For Friday afternoon, this is where we develop some fuel. Notice the profile, not as dry, but it's certainly saturated enough where it counts. These are what we call low top thunderstorms because they don't have a lot of height to them. But what catches my eye here, and again, I'm getting nerdy, is the lapse rates are up there, nearly a 6.5, and we look for values, especially once you get above 6 to 6.3 in our severe weather outbreaks we've had. Just to compare, recently they were more about 7.2 to 7.5. So it's not to that level at all. It's just right at that point where you can get some damaging winds in an isolated case there, and you can get certainly quite a bit of hail. Most of that will be small hail, I would say pea to dime size. So you may not get to warning level with this profile, but it's close. So I wouldn't roll out an isolated severe thunderstorm warning for your Friday afternoon because of that idea. Any questions on the nerdy stuff that I can try to answer? I just want to explain what we're looking at behind the scenes to kind of evaluate the threat level in general. It's all very, iffy overall, but we just don't want you to be caught off guard if weather radio sounds and you get an alert on the app. We don't want you to think, oh no, something's wrong. This is all about the idea of the severe threat. Very marginal. Any questions? ZK, Clark County, Indiana, right across from downtown. Are we getting that severe alert tomorrow? You would be more in the afternoon threat, ZK, not the morning round. You're fine in the morning. What's that stuff at the bottom right? Well, there's a lot of stuff there. I'm assuming you're meaning this. This is your, if you were to track tornadoes, you would see, you don't want this line that's here to go through like right in the middle of this. This would indicate the different phases and strengths of tornado potential. It's not even registering. So again, this is tomorrow afternoon sounding, so it's not even there. So that's good. We don't want to see that. I'm assuming that's what you're referring to. But you're paying attention, Gary. Thank you. Appreciate that. Hey, Austin, drier overnight Friday. It'll be slow to dry out, Austin. I think it may take until at least midnight, but it will be a gradual drying trend. Hi, Destiny. How are you doing? We'll be okay Thursday night into Friday morning here in Louisville. Yes, I don't see any issue right now. The only thing that would change that is the low itself would have to track more north of I-64, and that would then put the flow a little more north. Right now, there's still some wobbling with the low, I've noticed, but it's so close to us that I think along 64 is a pretty good track for this. So I don't see any major changes to that outlook right now. So there's more data supporting what I just showed you than there is against it or altering it. So that's good. All right. I'm good. I hope you're doing good, Brian. Thank you, Destiny. I appreciate that. Blue, I love the soundies. Yeah, the soundies are fun. I can't always show them because it takes a lot of time to explain them. There's a lot on there that we can explain, but I just don't want to get too in the weeds because a lot of you are just wanting to get right into the point of what's going to happen, right? So I get it. I don't want to. Those of you are busy today and trying to focus on work and move along, so I don't want to stall anybody too long. Let's see. All right. I think everyone's okay. Let me get to anything new. Good. All right. So that covers the short term. Nothing major. Just want to cover the finer details. So what's next? Well, I mentioned that little waving front there for Saturday and Sunday. That'll be something we'll deal with tomorrow to see where we're at. I don't think we can answer a ton of questions on that because, to be honest with you, I don't think the models have got a good handle on it. So we just going to have to take it slow on that. Just be aware that if it gets hung up on the area, we may have to carry the rain chance a little more into Sunday. But I think Saturdays is fair. I do think it'll be in the area on Saturday. The Sunday, I'm not sold yet. And eventually it'll just fade off the map. And that's what allows the heat to build in. But we do get a good bonus day. Right now, I think their best day to have a low humidity setup, a blue sky, and warm temperatures into the low to mid 80s is going to be Monday. Monday looks really good. Very comfortable outside. You're not going to be sweating a ton. Once you get past Monday, we're going to hold on to that idea of the warmth. We're going to start to add in the humidity, and you will start to feel that on Tuesday and certainly on Wednesday. However, the humidity looks like it's climbing so much and going to become so cloudy that I'm not sold yet we're going to get to that 90 at all. I think we're going to fall short of that for this round again. So we may very well hold on avoiding 90 yet again, even into early June here, because another front is coming our way. This is something that I think is still going to be a thorn in our side for a while, and that is these lows that keep dropping in with these fronts that will still impact certainly the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, maybe not as much of an impact in the Southeast, but in our area, I think they can still reach us, which is a little unusual. Typically, we start to get into June, and they really struggle in many cases to get even south of South Bend, Indiana. Even I-70 is a struggle in summer, and it's rare to get them all the way down into Kentucky. If they do, they usually go here to fall apart and disappear. But to get them all the way through the Tennessee Valley is rare, but this has been the theme this year so far this spring, and I think we'll continue that idea for a bit longer. So we got to watch this front because now we're adding in a little bit more juicy air, right? Now we're getting into the mid-80s, maybe upper 80s, but at least mid-80s. And we're adding a lot of humidity. So we got the fuel, and now you're getting a fairly strong jet trying to move back into the area for especially Thursday, because it's two things that happen. A front moves in. You can see that little arcing for late Wednesday into Thursday. And as it moves in, it does do the whole stalling idea, but a low pressure decides to form along it. And that is going to be a problem because that low track would move it in a very similar fashion to what we have late tonight, right along I-64 or just north. And this time around, though, it will have the heating of the day on Thursday to work with. It'll be arriving a little earlier than the one tonight will be at least as of now. So that would allow it to have more of a kick to it. And it moves on in with a potential strong storm threat. If it moves in aggressively enough, not too aggressive because we don't want severe weather, but hey, you get the idea. If it moves on by and clears the air out enough, we may score some dry time behind it and can remove those rain chances for the weekend. Or I don't think we're there yet, but we could. It all depends. This is in the driver's seat. This is the one that's in charge. So we'll see if that continues to be the case. And then after that, we may try to warm up again, but I see another front coming for the next week after that. What about your severe potential? Sorry, I went full screen. I know better than that. Here we go with the SIPs, the analogs. This is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Row 1, row 2, row 3. Look at Thursday. That's the last row. All right. That is, here are the analogs showing up. I know I'm drawn in yellow, so you probably can't see that. But there is a bit of there's a bit of a signal showing up on Thursday right along the Ohio Valley, certainly a little higher one back into Kansas. And the SIPs, or the, CSU, learning module does at least start to show a low in risk in the Ohio Valley. It's not here before it. You see, we're not in the zone on the other two rows, but for Thursday, it does indeed show up. So it's worth watching. I don't think it's enough yet that we have to go on for an alert day because of timing issues with how that will play out with the low forming, but it's something we're watching carefully. Let me show you the 10-day. And we're going to go with 82 today. And then here we go with the storm setup, as I explained, for tonight and Friday. We'll hold on to it Saturday with the front hanging out in our neighborhood. And then as we get into next week, nice warming trend, but we may not get as warm as earlier thought. We may have to pull back a bit on that, but still very warm and summery kind of feel for the middle of the week. But unfortunately, a front's going to take advantage of that and then fire up those showers and thunderstorms, especially next Thursday, perhaps into Friday as well. Any questions I can answer on that portion of this? Well, Tina, you're watching tonight and tomorrow still. Hi, Tina. Eton area, you'll be right on the edge of really the thunder. I don't see a severe risk for you tonight in Eton, Tina. I think it'll be just to your south based on the track of the low. But it may be noisy. I mean, some of you are going to get a wake-up call a little earlier than you want. Carrie, where do the low pressures go? They always pass by, but they keep on circling the globe. They do. They can sometimes dissolve and get absorbed into other lows, which typically happens if they get too high in latitude. They'll get pulled in, and the big daddies take over. But it's some of the ones in our latitude or point south can get cut off. And this time of year, you got to watch for that because they get too cut off. They can actually become tropical now, which happens quite often, actually. And yes, there are some hints still of the tropics trying to light up with Andrea being signaled in about a week and a half into the Caribbean. That signal's still there, but it's all over the place on where it would go. So that's why I'm not really showing much on that yet, but the pattern does support it. I just don't know if it would be a threat at all to the lower 48 based on how active we are in our area. How much rain? Good question, Donald. If you're going to be roughly in central Kentucky where you got more of a thunderstorm scenario at play, you can get those rates that can easily go 1.5 inches, 2 inches. If you're more in the steadier rain, but not as much thunderstorm action, not as much lightning, which would be roughly Louisville area and southern Indiana, you could still get up to 1 inch. I wouldn't rule it out. Most may fall just shy of that, but it's still going to be over 1/2 inch in most areas. And again, I think 1 inch totals will be common in most areas too, Indiana and central Kentucky. Anything higher than that should be limited to just the thunderstorm zone, which would be roughly, I would say, Bullitt County and points south would be the zone that you could get some of those higher numbers. But a good drink of water, as I like to say, that will be coming into play. Crispy, heat shield signal, not as strong of one for next week. It'll try to come back again, but I still think we got at least another couple of lows to get through for the month of June that will reset us. So we'll keep trying to heat up. I mean, it's that time of year. The globe's going to try to help us out and get us to that point. But unfortunately, the pattern keeps throwing these fronts down. So I just don't think it has any sticking power yet. Maybe in July, we will see that flow of low pressures and fronts kind of ease back and slow down, and then we'll get into the heat. I for sure need a beautiful day on Monday. I planned. Yeah, Monday looks good. I like Monday. The way it's looking there. Nolan Lake for this weekend. Just be careful. Watch out for those thunderstorms, especially on Saturday. Sunday, your chance is still there on Sunday, but right now I'm going to try to hopefully cross my fingers that it gets to the southwest of you. But just be mindful of any gusty thunderstorm, especially between the 2 and 6 p.m. window for both days. Okay. The high pressure you discussed yesterday for, well, that's the Bermuda high, I'm assuming you're referring to, that tries to build in. That is going to be shoved more south and east just because of the front that's moving in for next Thursday and Friday. So that will kind of squish it. Doesn't really move it. It's not overly strong on the northwest side. It's weaker than what the front is. The front's stronger than it will be. So it will be, I guess, the bully, and it will be able to push in the area. And that's what leads to the thunderstorm set up in the Ohio Valley and Tennessee Valley for the end of next week. All right, guys. We'll leave it at that for now. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it as always. I will catch y'all coming up on midday. Stay close to the forecast. It's important that you monitor these trends here for tonight and tomorrow because there will likely be some adjustments. And again, just be weather aware in case there's any alerts. I don't see anything major on the severe side right now. Gusty winds, and I think the hail threat probably will get your attention more than anywhere. I think we're going to get a lot of reports of small hail, not large hail, but small hail tomorrow afternoon. I think we're going to get quite a few of those reports coming in. So if you see any of that, make sure to let us know as well. All right, take care, guys. See you on the flip side.